Hi guys, it's Clarice, and today we are going to do another quick tutorial on pumpkins. The difference between this one is going to be I am going to show you how to do a quick sketch of them and then kind of paint them. And we are going to use muted tones for this. So we're going to kind of use whites and light blues and grays as opposed to the oranges. So let's get to it. So to draw the pumpkin, it's really fairly easy. The one that's kind of sideways is obviously going to look something like this. You kind of just draw a very basic oval shape with a little bit of a dent in the center and kind of go around. It's exactly like how we did the first tutorial. And then protruding or starting from the center that we have the little base area, we're just going to do little lines that kind of go down to the bottom of it. And this is how it kind of looks, right? So this is fairly easy. And then obviously you create your little stump for it and you're done. Now to get something like this, I have a super cute technique that works really, really well. So we're going to start off by doing little curves all around, and then we do the center. So this is how that's going to pan out. So we're going to start by doing cute little curves or frills. And then as you get to the bottom, you can kind of make it a little less indented. And then at the top, we're going to determine where the center is. So let's say the center is more down to the absolute middle of it, as opposed to over here where I have it a little bit at the top. So we're just going to create the little curve stump bit for it. And then once we have that, we're just literally drawing these cute little lines that start from where the stump is all the way down to where we have our little curves. And there we go. We have our cute little pumpkin, but from the top. So feel free to draw as many of these as you want. And then we'll get on to painting. All right, so I went ahead and drew a couple more and we're ready to start painting. So because of the size of this, I'm going to be using my number 4 silver black velvet. And for the first one, let's tackle the one in the center and let's make this one like a gray. So for this, I am using my neutral black from St. Petersburg. And I'm just going to mix some of it onto over here. And I want it to be extremely light because we are trying to achieve a white with shadow. So I'm just mixing a very light version of that there. And I am going to take my number 8 Princeton and just getting water onto it. I'm going to go ahead and lightly get some wet the area where each of these segments are. And what I'm going to also do is make sure that as I'm wetting this area, I'm leaving white space between each segment. And you'll see exactly what I mean or how that looks when I put the color down. So I'm just wetting the area as best as I can, trying to be loose about it, not too much detail. And then once I have that, I'm just going to go ahead, take my gray and swish it down. Now you want to move all the color down to the bottom, and you want the top to be as light, so it's like a light to dark effect. And you'll notice that as you kind of press your brush down and push it down, it gives you a nice blend. And if you have 100% watercolor paper, you will see that effect even nicer. Now because I'm using Canson and it's not 100% watercolor, so the blend isn't as fabulous, but if you kind of play around with your color to water ratio, you can kind of achieve some really nice startling effects. But again, I want to keep this as simple and loose as possible, so I'm not going to painstakingly try and get it to look too realistic. I'm just taking some water and putting it to the side so I can get like a nice smooth finish. And now we want to highlight certain areas of this pumpkin without making it look too what's the word? Too dark. So I'm just going to get the number 4 and just using the tip, I'm going to get some color, some of the dark, the black, the neutral black, and I'm just going to do a couple of strokes of the black in this area here, because watercolor dries up very light than when it's initially put down. So I want to make sure that I get a nice enough detail, especially for the ridges. And I'll just do one over here and just highlighting just the bottom of it really. And then for areas where you feel like it's dried up at the top, just take your brush with just water on it and just blend it out. And it's super simple. And then what we also want to do is just add a little bit of that same effect that we've been doing down at the bottom. We want to add it to the top as well, just where it meets the little stump area. And so try and get as much as we can and just adding it to the stump area. Now once we have that, just washing off all the color with just water on it, I'm just going to sweep it down. And it gives us like a nice shadowy effect. We don't want to spread it down too much. We just want it to be more at the top, hinted at the bottom, and then we can kind of fade off. And then just keep it like that. Like, so we have like this nice silvery kind of pumpkin. And then we're going to do the stump. For the stump, I'm going to be using my, I believe this is the sepia. So it's like a very dark brown. And I'm just going to get, using the number 4 again, I'm just going to kind of go ahead and create, like just paint over this little drawing of a stump that I have done. And I'm trying to leave white space between the pumpkin and the stump as well, again. And I want to push all the color down. And then if you want to give it an added touch of darkness or two-tone, just using the tip of your brush, get some of the black that we've used and kind of just blend it in with the brown. Now clearly this needs a little more water, so I'm just going to go ahead and add some water. And I have a darker stump. I wanted this to be slightly lighter, not as dark, so I'm just taking some off. And I'm going to go back in with that brown so it's a proper blend as opposed to just the black taking over. And here we go. We have our first pumpkin. So the next pumpkin I want to do is this one right here. And for this, we're going to make it that nice, cute, light blue. For that, I'm using my Azure. I believe it is the Azure, right? Yes. You can also use like a Payne's gray if you wish, and mix it up with a little bit of blue. and you'll get something like this. So for this, I'm just going to use the exact same technique that I did here, using the drawing as a guide. I'm just going to go ahead and start painting. This time I'm not adding, you can add the water previous and then go in with color if you wish, but this time I'm just kind of going ahead and adding the color first. And just remember to leave your white space as you go in with the color, pushing all the color down. So just kind of painting it in nicely. Adding water as and when you see fit. Like if the paper is getting too dry or you don't have enough water on your brush, just kind of get some water. Continue to leave that white space. This is very, very, very important when we're painting in such a manner. We want light at the top, dark at the bottom, and so I'm pushing all the color down constantly. You can leave some white space in between each of the ridges that you're painting as well. That can add like a nice effect. Again, these are super calming to do and easy in the sense that you're just kind of, you have a drawing already and you're kind of just filling it in, and you're using these cool and calming colors that kind of just relax your mind, and you just kind of go with the flow. So yeah, these pumpkins are just so pretty. These light ones are just relaxing to look at, and then obviously also paint. So I've just done that, and now what I want to do is add a couple of highlights just like I did with the gray. So I'm just going to make sure that I have enough water, well, not too much water, just that my brush is damp, and I'm just going to get a little bit of color from here and just add it at the bottom. Just adding a couple of strokes at the bottom here and there. To the center as well, and I'm taking advantage of the fact that all of this is still damp, so it's going to give me a nice flare of color. And then you just want to kind of lightly touch up the ridges. This one's clearly dried up, but that's okay. Just take your brush, just dip the tip of it in your water and just spread it around, and that's fixed. Just adding a couple more into the top of the other ones to give it a little more dimension. And we're going to go ahead and add that here too. And just a little bit at the bottom. And I'm just adding, because the main key areas are at the bottom and where the stem meets. So literally, those are the areas you want to really touch up. So you just kind of go around and make sure those key areas are highlighted. There you go. And we are done. We're done this pumpkin. If you want to add an extra layer of the blue to kind of make it a little more darker, you can absolutely do that. So I'm just going to add a little bit more because I feel like it might be a little bit too light. Now, once I've done this, I'm just going to take the brush with just water and spread it out upward, is what I was trying to say. And this is almost like layering, or it is layering. Spreading it out. Just adding some there, and then just at the center as well, just to enhance it some more. And then you're just, with water on it, you're just kind of spreading it out to have it blend in nicer. And there we go, we can just leave it at that. And now we do the stump at the top and we're done. So for this, we are going to use we'll use the same dark brown that we used previously. And you can just get a different variation of it, like make it lighter, I guess, as opposed to darker than we did before. So you obviously check on the consistency, like water to color ratio, as you're doing that. And I'm being very delicate here because it's still pretty damp. But yeah, this is essentially how you would do a blue pumpkin. All right, so our final one we're going to do is right here, and we are going to be using, making this one like a brown, a light brown. And so for the colors I am using, I'm just trying to find my color sheet. So I'm using Mars Brown and I believe Raw Sienna, or the Sepia, whichever you prefer. So for the Raw Sienna, sorry, for the Mars Brown, I'm going to use that as the base coat and then use the darker brown to kind of highlight. So using the exact same technique as we've been using all along, I'm just kind of mixing up a light brown, and I'm going to go ahead and paint that in. And again, leaving white space in between. We want to keep this nice and loose and fun looking. Nothing too realistic. Just kind of enjoying the blend of the colors and the lightness of it all. Remembering to push the color down from the center. And then these ones right here again. And pushing the color down to the center. Now this stump is like right in the middle here, so I'm just kind of painting around it. And then pushing all the color down in that nice little curve that we have going on. Or you could even push the color off to the side because you need it to the side to kind of give you that shadow. So yeah, so there we go. So we have that, and now while this is damp, we're just going to go in and get some of that dark brown onto our, and just highlight the ridges. So this one clearly is dried up. That's okay, because we're gonna smoothen it out by just taking water on our brush. We're just kind of extending this. Pushing the color. And then the key here is to make sure that it doesn't dry up. So, because if it's dried, then you obviously cannot go in with water and kind of get that nice blended effect. So if you cannot, if you cannot kind of rush, or if you won't, if you know you cannot make it to all of them on time, I suggest doing it one at a time, whatever is easier. And And so one at a time would look like this. And you're literally just making sure that you have a nice blend of light and dark. And giving the bottom a nice curve. So just kind of blending the colors in nicely and allowing the colors to kind of just speak for the light and shadow. There we go, we have this. And I'm just kind of perfecting certain edges using the exact same techniques that I've been mentioning all this time. So feel free to kind of do that as and where you see fit. I'm just kind of doing this right now since it's still damp and we have this happening. So it's kind of really cute and it's got a nice little brown hue to it. I'm just going to add a darker top to this, and then I want to extend it to the others as well, because now that it's dried, I'm noticing that it's cute and all, but it would be nice to kind of have a darker center. And so I'm just kind of lightly adding additional shadow. And this one's really damp, sorry, not damp, but it's like dried up, so you can see that it's not blending in as well, and that's okay. There we go. I'm going to leave this one at that. It just has this here at the bottom that I'm just going to blend properly, and then maybe even add a little extra. Almost looks like little flowers. There we go. So leaving that way, let that dry while we just kind of touch these up a little bit, and then we are good to go. So this one was the gray or the neutral black, and I just want to add a tad bit more detail. So I'm just adding a stroke on the edges, and then washing off the color, just water on my brush. I'm just blending it in. And blending it down. Whoops. I think I touched this a bit. There we go. Okay, so just did a bit of that there, and I'm just going to do some at the bottom. You can kind of give it a few linear strokes like this, very loosely, if you want to give it some texture. I'm just perfecting the shape of this one because I didn't quite like this shape earlier on, and now I kind of like it. There we go, leaving that one as is. And then finally for the blue, I use the Azure. Yes, it's right here, and using the exact same technique. I'm just kind of adding a couple of strokes to the center. And then just taking my brush with water and just spreading out the color. So remember, as I said previously, if you feel like you're not able to get to this soon enough, maybe just do it individually as opposed to doing it all together and then going in with your brush to smooth out the color, because if it dries it might not look as nice. So keep that in mind. And I'm just doing a couple here on this final ridge, and then we are good. I like how this one looks as well. And so we've got cute little pumpkins. Oh, just got to do the top for this one. And for this, I'm just going to use the dark brown like we've been using. This could actually benefit from some of the black as well. So if I get like a darker brown, mixing the brown and the black, just so that this stands out from the brown that it is. And there we go. So we have that. So thanks guys for watching. Hope you guys like this tutorial. Try these, blend these, practice with these, and come Sunday we are going to have a really fun tutorial on doing these and a couple of other elements. Stay tuned for the time lapse to see exactly what's coming up. And also Sunday I will be putting out a tracing or a drawing before we kind of embark on our painting session. So look out for my email on that. If you haven't signed up for my emails, please do sign up. The link should be in the description below. And when you get the link on Sunday, just download the file and you can have that for a reference, or you can trace it beforehand. And then yes, meet me at 2 o'clock so we can create some lovely fall paintings. Thanks guys for watching. Please do follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Send me your images if you have any questions. Let me know. I'm always there to help and answer. Thanks for watching guys. Bye.